Hey free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. Now I'm currently on Agni's account. This is not my own account and I'm about to release some very important information that could severely change the current landscape of Lian's trial, because as you can see here, 6.38 million score. This is probably something very achievable if you have the patience to keep on rerunning this on and on and on. More free-to-play strategy than what some players are using right now. It's actually more effective as well, and I will go through the idea behind it and how this works. But before that, this setup was actually designed by Pool Game Strong, so huge shout out to you for letting me share this information with everyone else. And yeah, I'm actually quite excited to see how the leaderboards will turn out to be. But first, let's take a look at the setup. So the setup that we're looking at is using a Lian here because we want this team to run very slowly. Let's take a look at what I mean. So Yunchuan with absolutely no speed. He's just built for DPS. That's it. Next, we have Jacob, and he's probably going to be the star of the show. Now, the thing is, with Jacob's poison, that's how we can ensure that Yunchuan's third ICU is always applied for more damage at the start. But for the most part, Yunchuan is mostly just here for the early game DPS until we hit like 3 point something million. Okay, so another thing, do take note that this comp is not just meant for getting EX++, it's meant for pushing past EX++, because afterwards the boss moves a lot, which is why Jacob is so effective here. Now the thing is, the boss can be poisoned, which is what we are trying to abuse. And Jacob's second skill, Intoxication, this skill grants fangs to all allies for 2 turns, and whenever you get hit by an enemy, there is a 70% chance of inflicting poison on attackers for 2 turns. So because Ferberter multi-hits a lot and he deals AoE damage, he's actually going to gain a lot of poison stacks, which is what's going to push our score like crazy. And that is basically it for Jacob. You just want him on the Ocean set so that he cycles more, and you want him on the Enchanted set as well, so that whenever he inflicts poison debuffs, there is actually a 30% chance of extending the poison debuffs by 1 turn. So that also applies to his Intoxication over here. Or rather, that also applies to the Fangs buff that all of your allies have. Now we want Everett to be super slow as well, so same as Yunchuan, you just want them to deal damage, and for Everett you want him to heal, and you want him to land the miss rate up as well as and when, right? But mostly because you want all of your espers to be slow, except for Alice. Now Alice has to be extremely Jacob has to be decently speedy as well, so that he can take more turns to land more Intoxication. He just needs to be faster than Yunchuan and Everett, that's it. Now, as for Alice, you want her to be super fast. So somehow Agni managed to get plus 190 speed on her with the Ocean set. Clearly, this is very hard to achieve for most players. I'm actually not even sure how he got 190 speed, because his Ritual Miracles kind of suck. Okay, but anyway, the reason why she's here is so that she can buff Extend, which also applies to your Fang buff as well. So you want to make sure that your Fang buff lasts as long as possible, which is why you want your espers to be super slow. That's generally like the gist of it. Anyway, let's take a look at how this team works, and I'm super excited because I haven't actually seen this before. But this is just like the rule of thumb, generally speaking, right? Okay, so press auto. This is fully auto, by the way. Well, as you can clearly see, this is like my first time running this comp with all the animations just going off. And there you go. Do you see all the poison stacks that the boss just received instantly, right? So it's very important that your Yunchuan and your Everett are super slow, which means you probably have to rebuild your team just for this setup. But what the hell is that? It's probably like, what the heck? So you probably have to rebuild a bunch of your espers for this. I wouldn't go too crazy. I think for most players, your Yunchuan is probably built with speed, slot 6 speed. You can just replace it with a slot 6 attack, and it wouldn't perform as well as this because he's really pushing his speed down to 0, but it's still going to help you quite a fair bit. So yeah. So anyway, the idea here is that we are using Yunchuan to push DPS until we hit 3.8 million as soon as possible, and we are doing it via Alice forcing him to assist attack. Right, so Alice causing Yunchuan to assist attack. At the same time, Yunchuan is also using his dog to pursuit. So that is how we are trying to achieve 3.8 million ASAP. And once we are around EX++, that's when the boss moves super fast. And because he moves super fast, he's always going to attack, and he's always going to get himself poisoned because of the Fang buff that we have. This is just the part where Yunchuan is useful. Afterwards, he's probably not that useful. I'm not super sure whether the Seer debuff would increase the damage that the poison does. I haven't actually clarified, although I should. So ideally, when the boss has 12 stacks of poison, whenever he takes a turn, he's going to take 96,000 damage, right? 96,000 for every single turn that he takes. So yeah, that's why we need to be super slow, and Ferberter is just going to keep on poisoning himself and damaging himself whenever he takes a turn. And that's it. That's the idea here. Yeah, I don't think that Seer debuff actually increases the damage that your poison does, because the boss received like 70 plus K, which it seems kind of within the ballpark of what those number of poison stacks would have done in the first place, right? So now we have how many stacks of that? 8 stacks, 64k. Yeah, so it's that Seer debuff has no. Seer debuff does not increase the damage that your poison stacks will do. Oh, and the reason why I know this is because the boss has like 200,000 max HP, so poison damage is just based on that calculation. Now we reach a point where the boss is moving super fast, right? So EX plus onwards, around this score level, right, 3.5 million, that's when the boss is moving a lot. As you can see from the bottom here, you notice that the boss is taking many turns and he's lapping my allies like crazy. So now he's all the way at the front because he just took a turn, and he's actually over here right now. So he's lapping my allies super fast. So we are just abusing this mechanic where he's moving a lot so that we can poison him as much as possible and he can take a lot of poison DPS. Okay, I think we currently have a very scuffed run because our intoxication didn't come up as often as we needed it to. So I think our ocean procs were not good enough. Yeah, because there were a couple of turns that Jacob has just taken that did not provide us with the intoxication, which kind of sucks. Or rather, should I say the Fangs buff. Literally my first run doing this and we're already at 5.6 million. What the heck? This is insane. And yeah, that's about it. So 5.7, 5.8 maybe? Can we hit 5.8? 5.8 million. 5.8 million damage, guys. Now let's take a look at the DPS spread. Okay, so Yunchuan is still doing more damage, but as you can see, Jacob is covering a huge portion of that DPS as well. 2.175 million damage. So both Yunchuan and Jacob are here doing DPS and Alice is just here to promote that. But yeah, so that's it for this comp. This is right now probably the cheesiest strat just because of how Ferbeter works, which is he takes many turns, and hopefully you guys get a better score and hopefully you guys are able to top your own current leaderboard as well. But if you have any other questions, feel free to leave it down in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed today's content. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. It really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now with that said, this has been Diary Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.